Hello, Mark. How's it going?
Good day, Mark.
Did you get it all figured out?
Life's figured out.
I told them what I thought, and then I just leave it for them.
Okay. Okay.
I got you in here.
We'll see what happens.
Sounds good.
So your numbers are dwindling.
Oh, that's okay. Cheryl and Wayne, it's their anniversary today, so there is good cause for it. So.
Yeah, it was great.
They better go do something fun, huh?
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
And you got their insurance signed just in time.
Yep, just in time.
That.
That's a good sized Mountain Dew there, huh? Madeline, there's tons of stuff, and it would actually be fun to show you like how each one of these interacts. But as it comes down, what are you going to do for credit card payments? You know, do you want auto calculating when you check out? When you actually search from inside of your thing, are you searching recipes? Are you searching favorite buttons? Are you searching FlexGrid? We have people who actually have multiple different prices for different people. Okay, so say you have contract pricing. Your general price is $5 per whatever. Okay, but for you, I'm going to do it $3.50. For you, I'm going to do it $2.75, and for you, I'm going to do it $10. You know, whatever. Like, so imagine trying to price all of those different things and connect all of these different pieces. The FlexGrid is another piece of the application that allows it to be even more dynamic than what we allow you to do it. We're like, connect anything. You have 15 custom fields you can use, and you can just do system histories, like your own little user-maintained histories. Kind of like, I need to just flag this. And it's literally that fast. You're using 2 fields to flag it, or you can connect anything to anything, or you can have 15 custom fields. So what they do is they'll use FlexGrid, and they'll be like this. They'll tie it to a specific customer. So say they have customer C, okay, and this person has $3.50 for this particular item. They tie it to the customer, the item, and then they put the specific price in one of the 15. So they can land anywhere they want. If they land on a customer, it could potentially be connected to say, here's all of my items, here's my pricing. Or they could search it in their system. Hey, this person wants this product. They click on it. What's this customer's price? They just go down and look it up. It's basically, oh, it's this. It's not all fully connected as far as like, if I enter customer C, it automatically knows to do this and this. But it's all right there. It's all their whole matrix, and they can build this whole thing expandable to whatever they wanted or needed. So it kind of gets fun. Anyway, by default, you just have the part number search as an option. But if you needed it, you could do flex grids and recipes. This is like groups. Like instead of saying one item at a time to a cart, what if you actually had a company that built, say for instance, this was another company, and they needed recipes, okay? It was called Mateco Truck, and they were in Texas. And they basically had this facility, and what happened was it got taken over by some kind of acquisitions, just normal business acquisitions and stuff. And they were like, oh my goodness, our system is failing and it can't work with so-and-so. Can you guys do any of this kind of stuff? So we started doing some stuff for them, and what they're like is like, okay, we're going to build this truck out, and the utility company brings us 20 trucks, and they want them all tweaked out with these custom beds and this and this and this and this. And so we're like, sure, we can help you track that. What they would do is each package would be a different thing. Okay, I want 20 trucks to come in. They're all going to get this custom light package. They're all going to get this custom bumper package and this custom box package, okay? Well, these packages potentially had 20 to 30 items per thing. So say an LED light package, you get certain lenses, certain bulbs, and certain electrical connectors, okay? They need to know that, and they don't want to have to sit there and build this invoice every single time to kind of do it. It's like, man, is there any way we could create like a kit or something like this? We ended up calling it recipe and builds, but imagine something like this. 15 of this, 20 of this, 5 of this, 1 of this. We list it all out, what the price is, what the descriptions are, what everything is. It's already tied to inventory, and then you go to one spot. Oh, they want the LED light kit. You go to one spot and say LED light kit build. You look at it. Oh, you know what? They decided not to do that one. Build. And then we throw all of that into the cart. You're pre-programming what your pieces are. Those are recipes and builds. That's on the sales side. You also have it on the build side if you needed to as well, like manufacturing. It's all tied to the inventory. Anyway, there's tons of different levels and things. Barcode options. There's tons of help here. You can select what the different label sizes that you want. You can actually enable this is called settings, Mark.
Settings.
We're kind of doing some corp-wide settings. You know when we always see that CW.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the corp-wide settings piece. Okay.
Yep.
Madeline, we haven't even talked about elements of time at all. Okay. When you land at the page, do you want to show the calendar, the time slot, the group, the detail? Like which view do you want to see? You know, what's your starting and end time? The default is say like 6 to 8. But say if you ran early, say you're like, we actually go from 4 in the morning till 11 at night. You just switch it, and all of a sudden the time slot automatically changes and knows to do that. What's your increment? Is it 30 minutes? Is it hour? Is it 15 minutes? Is it every 5 minutes I want a new time slot?
Your calendaring type
Yep.
things.
So you have some settings that you can kind of dictate, like how you want it to kind of show some of these different pieces and puzzles. Very, very flexible. You can. That one's only done round 1 of 3 that are planned, but it's already kind of beyond like a Google Calendar. I popped into it just briefly, showing you that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Google Calendar, those things, they drive everybody crazy because you adjust your life to the calendar you're using versus being able to have the calendar do what you want it to do.
So we purposely, once again, kind of thought dynamically. The elements of time, the calendaring section, it took us 9 months to develop this thing and kind of put, plus all the other pieces that we were doing in the meantime. But like what it is imagine a calendar that's built on a one-to-many and it has types and functions, and you get to determine it. So we had all this brainstorming. How do people use times? They use rentals, to-do lists, basic scheduling, invoicing, rentals, and like production orders, and like what's going on over time and all this kind of stuff. We're like, wow, how am I going to do that? So as soon as you start seeing like more than 10, I was like, sounds to me like we're going to have to name it. Let them name it. I'm not even going to, like, maybe I want sticky notes, maybe I want blogs, maybe I want like those are all elements of time that can fit in there. Okay, cool. And then why don't I just give you a list and you just pick what you want, okay? So I'm going to name it to-do list, and I'm going to say I just need a date, and I just need a priority, and that's it, and maybe a color. Okay, it's a little a point-and-click interface for it. These are some settings that help you kind of tweak it out even more. Search options. This whole section right here, 39 down through here, is parts. What do you want to call your parts? Are they soft goods, codes, SKUs, supplies, items? That's like, once again, it's smoke and mirrors. What do you want to name your stuff? Okay, it's farm supplies. It's it's computer supplies. It's bikes. It's items. Right now, in our training, we're just doing CW parts, the CW part number, and stuff like that. But you can tweak it out to as far as you want to tweak it, as far as what you really want to call it. Okay. How do we track your inventory? Is it location specific or is it more global? The option here is like general or global. So what it is remember how we had POs and they were vendor specific or special POs?
Right.
So we can do the same. We can lock it down to locations as well. So watch this. I'm location A and I got tons of product A, B, C, and D. Okay. Well, what if I am location X and I want to sell some of product B? So if I try to sell it through my invoice, and if I'm locked at location specific, I can't do it. Even though it exists in the system, I'm location X. I cannot sell what location A has unless it's transferred over to me. Okay? It's basically just a virtual paper trail. We have to record the story on this whole thing, so that's why it's kind of expanded to these different levels. But if you're like, hey, you know what, we just want to use our locations generally, and we'll kind of mix and match and let things flow between here and here. So location A brought on all these products, but I'm going to let X, Y, and Z sell from this one. We just say, okay, all you need to do is flip a corp-wide setting, and we'll say, okay, cool, it's a little bit more freer intercourse.
But it was still the tracking going.
Yeah, oh, the tracking still goes on to the whole level. It's just how rigid do you want us to lock it down. It's doors and windows that we're virtually closing inside of these worlds to kind of help people go. Default tax categories, all sorts of different little things, show height stuff.
So basically everything that comes up on our screen that we see
A lot.
very, very much is a changeable world.
you know what? That's why we can even say that we even do that. That's why we can even say that we can say, hey, we can deal with somebody who does nuts and bolts, somebody who does construction, somebody who does clinical stuff, somebody's a mom and pop, somebody who's doing consulting. We do reoccurring invoices. Like, each one of those industries is very different. We have not hit them all, and some of them are very, very specific. But we've taken a big general swath through the middle and like, okay, any business, I kid you not, any business, out of the box, Adilas could probably handle 80% of any business. Any business. Is it a church? No problem. Guess what? They get donations, and it has to be tracked through. Eventually they want to get a receipt at the end of the year saying, hey, here's my total contributions. They pay bills, they do this, they do, like, piece of cake. It's just general. 80% of any business we could hit right out of the box. Okay, Madeline, I know this is kind of taking a little bit of time, and I appreciate your patience on it. I'm kind of speaking to you, and I don't mean to kind of direct it directly to you, but this is where our conversation started. I should probably include everybody else. We have this little thing that we call the Dewey Decimal System. This is the number of accuracy, okay? Once again, this kind of came from Trinity Fasteners as far as, oh my goodness, I need it to go out further. So they were selling, say, a box of washers.
Yeah, they would want more than 2 decimal places because they can't round.
You couldn't round far enough, okay? So basically it actually goes to a max of 5, okay? By 5, as soon as you go to 3, you're already splitting pennies, okay? So we go clear out to a level of 5 if you need it. Some of the other ones that need this are people who measure specific pieces. Because what it does is, if you're measuring down to that small of a piece, it must be like almost worth gold, okay? You want point da, 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 or 0 point da, 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 like it gets down to that level, but it still has to hide. It's almost dust to that level of like sawdust type stuff, okay? But we can go out that level if we need to. The default is 2, but every single field inside of there can technically take more if it needed to. And it kind of shows some examples of expanding some stuff out. But it comes down to rounding. Like, you don't want to be rounding when you're slicing and dicing teeny things, and then you happen to round. It kind of, why do you slice it and dice it so teeny? So once again, it's just a setting. We play in and out accordingly. Okay.
Well, I was way off on my fuel settings yesterday.
That's okay.
It's 384 a gallon.
384.
That's a long way from 289.
That is.
Yeah.
That's almost
That
double.
is a long way.
There's lots of show height options. You can show numbers and this and that. Here's what, you know how we talked about like the basic lab PO, basic request PO? You can name them right here. It's all in corporate settings.
You were just optimistic.
Yeah.
It's a good view.
Have the CW show up is something that's a changeable thing.
That's why I did it for training, okay? And this was just for training, but anywhere you see CW in the entire application, if you see CW, you can technically change the verbiage of that and possibly even how it interacts or works, okay? So this is just part of the corp-wide settings. There's some recalculation stuff on general items and payroll stuff. Here's all these special line items. When we started our entire training course, we were doing special line items, okay? We did tons of this, part number other, part number labor, part number fee, part number discount, okay? You can say, show, hide, do this, what are we going to do with payroll? Eventually, where do I want it to show up if I put it on an invoice? You can make it show up in all sorts of different ways, okay? Including, I don't even want this to show up anywhere in my financials. If you want it, we allow it, okay? But that's the person. Guess what? It's totally still searchable. But it's basically, for instance, say something like this. Say verbiage and info. I don't want verbiage and info to show up on my financials. So I purposely assign it to black hole, which basically means I'll still track it, but it's not going to, in this column, where is it going to be roll called to, okay? I don't want it on my financials. Say I use verbiage tons. Here's my item, verbiage, like, I can add a whole other line, say it's specific instructions for a certain thing, okay? Here's my next line, here's some verbiage. Or, say for instance, you could even go something like this. I call it this. You are going to probably call it this. Here's your number so that you know what my piece came in at, okay? Like you can use verbiage however you want, but you don't want it to show up on your stuff. Anyway, there are ways you can map a lot of different pieces. So by default, we have vehicles, trailers, toppers, and a thing called specific units. So those guys who are in Belize where they're doing the construction, and they're doing it to pools and beachfronts and sidewalks, and they're using specific units, okay? But basically, it's a subcategory of a stock unit, okay? But you can name some of these things. So for instance, say you wanted it called modular homes, okay? You do the exact same thing, okay? All of a sudden, you can sell it to an invoice. There's lots of different ways you can play the game, but it's a specific unit. These are web settings, okay? Do I want to show it online? Yes or no? This is outside of the secured environment.
So these are your new e-commerce.
This is actually what you get to control. E-commerce settings are what we get to control. Okay, so we're talking universe, world, and stuff like this. You're at the world level. Do I even want to show stuff outside? Yes, no. Do I want to add special pricing? I'll allow you to show it, no problem.
The e-commerce is the...
E-commerce is actually controlled on the
Okay.
universe level. We're like, okay, you're ready to go to e-commerce. Guess what? It's available, but I don't want you just to say, yeah, cool, I'm ready to do e-commerce, but we don't even have you set up with merchant processing. How are you going to accept a credit card? Okay, so we kind of have to control that on a little higher level. Okay, so there's tons of different features. Do you want to show prices? Yes or no? Do you want to show a contact page? If you have a special pricing, do you want to call it something? Do you have a specific return address? So www.mh5.com. So anytime somebody's on your e-commerce site and they say return home, we reroute them right back to your page, whatever it might be. So cross-corp stuff. This is actually dealing with financials, like what's your fiscal year? Is it June through, May, or is it, December through whatever? Like you just can kind of flip some stuff. This is a piece that's still under construction. It's called the ice down date. And what we're going to do here is this is going to be a virtual lock that will go behind the scenes. So all data is live and searchable, okay? Pounding, 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 pounding. You get all your financials exactly set like you want, and you change the ice down date. Okay, nobody touch. Okay, you can still see it's still playing into the puzzle, but nobody can touch. Okay, now you're running forward. All of a sudden you're not worried about stuff that's gone way beyond it, and it's already being totally configured. The way things work inside of Adilas, instead of like balancing per year or quarter or month, it literally goes down to these smaller increments of time, okay? We run our balance sheet on a per day basis. It's amazing, because everything has to be mapped to that date. And so I can tell you, what it does is it shrinks down the, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to make a huge adjusting entry because end of the month, and how did I, coordinate all of my fees that were taken out of my deposits for credit card fees? Well, I guess I better slap in a, $500 entry or whatever. Like what we do is we're like, it's on a daily basis, and so like you literally can walk through it. What happened? What happened? It's the story. And so that's how I was even kind of telling you eventually towards that 3D level where you could see things going and building more stuff.
So this thing says the only way to change it once you set it is to put it to the time or change the date.
Okay, so check this out.
So it is editable.
Okay, yeah. Watch this. Say it was 1/1 of 09 right here. Okay. What if I had it rolled and I'm like, oh my goodness, I needed to change something there, but it won't let me. Like the system will. That's literally that's a world level lock. Say, whoa, you can't go back that far. If I change it, guess what I'm going to do? Johnny changed, here's what he did, and just so you know, here's how long it was out of sync until it was changed back, okay? Like I'm going to track every single piece, but what it does is it's still the accountability, but I'm going to do special flag. Hey, this was behind the lockdown date. This was, like, we can track any of that because we know all of your data.
Change the date, change whatever you need.
They would have to have this permission even to get into settings. Okay, this is at the upper echelon. This is admin level for the world, for their corporation, okay? It's not admin level for the universe. This is admin level for their world. They have to have that to get here, and then what it would basically do is they would change the date, and we would automatically record that another one to many. So this date is the master date, but we're going to say, oh, he changed it from here to here.
So you go in, you make your adjustments, your minor
adjustments. Then you put it right back.
Back in its
So you put it back to the original
no.
lockdown date?
Mark, you can put it anywhere you want, okay? But what it is it's a magic line, If you set it to a certain date, anything behind that is untouchable unless you physically come here and say, okay, I need to erase that magic line for a second. I'm going to back it up for a little bit,
But you have to
make
have
my
special
change, and then I'm going to
permissions
come
do
forward on it.
anything.
So you
Yeah.
have to set it to the date in the past.
Or even, yeah, just so that you can still play with that. So basically, you want this magic line to be behind anything that you're changing or anything that's locked down. The reason we're going to call it ice down date is that analogy. Water droplets, slush, snow, ice. Ice down, okay, it's done and locked. It's currently under construction. There's lots of these things. So Madeline, we just popped down through some of the settings. These are some of the settings out of the box that you can do for tweaking some of the pieces, okay? Just to kind of show you how it cascades into stuff, watch this right here. Invoice homepage, see how it says CW customer invoice all the way down through a bunch of these little pieces? Watch this, we're going to make one change and I'm going to show you how it cascades into the system. Home, settings, corp-wide settings, scroll down till we find the customer invoice name. Okay, right here. Let's call it
Mike's Place.
test invoice. Okay, just for fun, just for this particular thing, I'm not going to change any other pieces of the puzzle. One setting, and I want you to see this right here. Save the settings, go home, go to invoice homepage. Test. If I go into an individual one that's actually that same thing, guess what it's going to say? I'm a test invoice, okay? If I go to the printable version, guess what it's going to say? Test invoice. If I go to a summary invoice of that same one, test. Like
So it's
you change
changing
it
all
one
that.
spot, we're going to cascade that thing hundreds, millions, who knows how many different places, and that's your settings, okay? So literally, if you don't like the naming convention, you can't change every name, but like you've got a ton of options, especially like locations, customers, corporations, salespersons, invoices, part numbers. You can change all of those different little pieces. I'm going to go ahead and change it back just so it what the heck is a test invoice?
Yeah.
um,
That sounds bad.
But you
Yeah.
just go back again.
to which one? Where I was?
Back.
I'd see the
Oh,
invoice.
right there.
Okay, yes.
So see, you change the invoice to test invoice, but the CW location is still CW location.
Right, because
That's a
another-
totally separate.
So
That's a totally separate one.
All you change.
You want me to change that to test location for just a second?
No, I take your word for it.
Okay, so anywhere that you see CW, I can change any of these verbiage.
So those are all.
Look at all these pieces on this invoice. Here's signature lines that we talked about. Here's some of my light verbiage. Here's a thank you line.
So for this Logan playground, he said every setting is CW that to mark that it's a changeable.
That it's a changeable
So
item.
from going forward as we play today, anything you see that CW is a changeable terminology. It doesn't even have, it doesn't even have to say CW customer, CW, you can totally change the word.
So when you set up our corporation,
Yes.
Those things aren't.
those, well, no, but you would have put in there.
No, it would be default. We didn't play that far. All we did is we said, set up your corp, set up 2 users, make the assignment. Okay, come to the training
Now
class.
we get to play.
Come to the training class. We'll
So we
play.
get the opportunity to wreck it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what? The crazy thing is we just changed it.
Wreck a thing.
You didn't really wreck anything because I just changed stuff. If I go back to invoices now, I just changed it right
That
back.
way you see what it looks like. That would be something that you do with businesses. They're not going to know
So
exactly what
this
they
is
want.
where we need the help is on kind of the consultant type level. You talk to the person, you give them a demo, you do this kind of stuff. You're like, they're definitely going to be wanting to call theirs a client bill or whatever versus a customer invoice or whatever the scenario is. So you're kind of like, okay, I know that that's a setting. Okay, so what do you call your locations? Well, we have stores, we have restaurants, we have we have clinics. Okay, we have campuses. We have like you play along that level, and then you can play to some of the dynamics.